Okay, I've done one half of the gathering on here, and it is a lot of gathers for a little skirt like this, so I would probably not make your gathers 30 inches. I would probably go 24, 22, 24 inches of gathers for a little skirt like this. This 29, 30 inches is just a little bit too much. But since I've already got it going, I'm going to go ahead and do it. What I've done was I've gathered one side of the skirt already, and I divided everything into 8 equal sections, and I put a pin in there so that my gathers will be even. When I put my gathering stitch in, I sewed gathering stitch halfway across my ruffle, and then I came and started a new stitch and did another half. So now when I pull my stitches, I'm only gathering half of my half of the ruffle at the same time. So let me see if I can find my end piece here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm pulling, and I'm pulling on one side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get halfway across this ruffle, and then I'm going to wrap my thread around one of my pins. And the only reason I'm doing that is to keep that thread secure so it won't come out again. So now I'm going to pull my gathers, and I'm going to even out that gather between each of those sections of 8. So here's the first section, and I'm going to even that out, and I'm going to put a pin in it. Okay. Okay, so that's about halfway across that ruffle. Okay, so I've only gathered about half of that ruffle on the other side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the other end, and I'm going to find my loose piece of thread, and I'm going to pull the ruffle in the opposite direction, and so that I can gather the rest of that piece. If it helps you to do contrasting thread on the gathers, that you can do that too. But the thing about using contrasting thread is when it's the same color thread, you can just leave it on the skirt when you're done with the skirt. If you have a contrasting thread with the ruffle, you pretty much have to remove it, otherwise it looks kind of funny. Okay, so I think that's pretty close, so let me wrap this thread. Okay, so same thing now. I'm going to try and even out my gathers so that when I sew these down, I can get them even. So see how that's puckered up right there? So I'm going to go right down the center, and I'm going to put a pin in it so that when I sew that ruffle to the skirt part, it's going to be evenly spaced between that two edges. I mean, it's, you know, when you're doing ruffles, it's impossible to get them exactly even, but you just want them to look nice. So, so there's the middle. Push it down and put a pin in it. And spread the rest of it out. Okay, spread it. I still have one more here to do. Get it evenly spaced, lay it flat, and put a pin in it. Okay, so I've got my ruffle evenly spaced, evenly gathered. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew it down. I need to work on this one here. takes a while to get these get good at gathering, but it really makes some cute doll clothes if when you add the gathers. Okay, so let's just go ahead and put this on our sewing machine. I'm going to sew it this way so that my flat fabric is on the outside, and I'm going to be sewing my ruffles in. The reason I'm doing it like that is it also keeps my ruffles in place while I'm sewing it. So I'm going to go with just the regular straight stitch, a 1/4 inch seam from the edge, and I'm going to, it doesn't matter where you start. So I'm going to pull my thread, I'm going to pull my pins out as I sew across. Okay, so here goes. The nice thing about doing it this way too, you can adjust your gathers as you're sewing. Oh, what happened here? Is it caught? You can spread them out evenly, is what I'm trying to say, as you're sewing. So you're adjusting as you sew. You come up on a pin, take it out. Might be losing some of my pins here. Okay, so let's even that ruffle out there and sew down. Okay. See what happened here? You want to make sure your fabric is laying flat on the other side. I can see mine hasn't been. Okay, I'm going to have to do some adjusting when I'm through here, so let me go ahead and finish this up here. Okay. I don't know if you can see that from that angle. You probably can't. When I first started my fabric, it wasn't laid flat. I've got a fold over in the back. So since it's so close to the beginning, I can fix it while it's still on the machine. So let me just take my seam ripper and take that out and get that fabric up to lay flat where it's supposed to be. Okay, good. See, that was simple enough. Okay, let's do it again. Let's try it again. Okay, excellent. Okay, so here we go. Okay, get your fabric to lie flat. Okay. beginning. Okay, so all these extra threads, you can just cut them off now. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to look around the bottom of the your sewing and make sure that you didn't catch any of the fabric like I did. If you're really wobbly on here, just put another seam in there now that you don't have to worry about the needles. It'll be a lot easier to sew this time. But it looks pretty good to me, so let me just cut some of these strings off. And we will try it on the doll, see what it looks like. Okay, my next line of stitching is going to be to push all of this up to the, I'm going to take all this and push it this way, and I'm going to top stitch right here to hold all these gathers down on the bottom of the skirt. Okay, so I'm going to do that now before I try it on the doll, so the ruffles will lay flat. Okay, so again, it's up to you how you want to do this. I'm going to do it up inside out like this, and try and get rid of some of these strings. Okay, so I'm going to lay it flat like this, and I'm going to top stitch as close to the edge as possible. And I'm going to make sure that my seam is flat up against the outside, up against the edge. Okay. I'm going to put my needle a little to the right, away from the center position, because I want that fabric on the bottom to catch. So let's go ahead and do that. So line your pressure foot up with the edge of your fabric in the seam, and then put your needle position over to the right, so then when your needle sews, it will catch your seam underneath. So make sure you go over far enough so it will catch it. So let's go ahead and start sewing here. Yeah, this fabric was, if I would have gone with maybe less fabric for the ruffle, I might have been able to get 2 ruffles to fit, but yeah, this fabric's much too heavy cotton for that. I'm going to cut this off so I don't have to, when I sew over it, it will catch. Okay, so catch up with the beginning of that seam and just back stitch over it, and you've just done a top stitch. So by doing that top stitching, not only have you forced that ruffle in a downward position, but it also secures the ruffle to the skirt. Okay, so there we go. Done. All I got to do now is, yeah, that was just a little bit too much ruffle for this skirt. So, yeah, cut your ruffle down. I may take that out and fix it, but we'll see. Okay, let me get a doll. So there's where I'm going to put my snap, and then I'm going to overlap it, and that's going to be how to close this skirt off. If I had a button, a real cute button like a daisy button or something like that, I could put a button in here too, just as easily as the snap. And there you go with the polka dot and daisy skirt. So see the difference between, let me see what you can see in the video. Okay, you can see the whole skirt. So that is, that is what you get with that ruffle. You might want to cut that, you might want to cut that ruffle down a little bit, but it's not bad. It's not bad. And then here's the ruffle in the back. Here's your overlap. So put your buttonhole here maybe, or your snap, or even a hook and eye will work just fine. And that's that skirt right there. Let me see, I've got this one done. What I ended up doing on this one was I hand stitched the seam in the bottom since this fabric was just so thin, and all I did was a couple of 6 little side ruffles on this one, but it's the same exact pattern, just like that. And that's how I got that one. The last one I did was this one here. This was that actual pattern we cut out. The plain. This was the plain skirt that doesn't have any ruffles. Let me try it on. It's just a plain, simple skirt. You know what would be cute on this one with the plain skirt like this is like a Levi fabric or a corduroy fabric. Something like that, and you'll get just a plain, simple A-line skirt, and that was that one. So this is, let me see what you see. Yeah, see, that's just your plain, simple, everyday A-line skirt, and that was the pattern that we actually made up the well, on the video. It will be the first video on this series, but that is the pattern for that simple A-line skirt. Okay, so basically that's it. That's all there is to it, and you can do all kinds of variations on it, and come up with all kinds of cute designs. Okay, I'll see you later. Bye.